Kevin, the Bucks and Saints are trying to see who can have the longest injury report in the history of the world, and they're both playing each other Sunday. We're going to have a mash unit of teams. Thomas, hit that intro.
Welcome to Saints Happy Hour podcast. We never skip a drink day.
Budrich wants to know how the doctor's doing.
That ended.
Now grab a drink and enjoy the show.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. As always, we are brought to you by Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. I got Kevin with me. I got Thomas running the show back in Poland. We were having fun Polish conversations in the pregame. Did you know, Kevin, the Polish language is like super complicated and you can insult people with derogatory terms like 9,000 different ways. In English, we only have like 6 words that can be insulting. It was fun.
I think I did know the Polish language was complicated and confusing simply by looking at a map of the names of things. Yeah. A lot of consonants, maybe 1 or 2 vowels thrown in, a lot of Z's, a lot of Y's.
Okay, so you know what else is complicated, Kevin? The Saints injury situation, as we previewed.
That's complicated? I thought it was simple. We're hurt.
I mean, it's well, that's one way to look at it. I was looking at it as it's complicated because they're so hurt on the offensive line, and specifically that the interior of the offensive line, they're shuffling dudes in and out. They don't know what they're going to do. But your take is pretty interesting. Let's start with this. The injury report is super long, and we'll get to it in a second. Oh, there you go. Thomas has got it up. It is long. It is long for the Saints. It is long for Tampa. The thing is, I think, Kevin, is I'm torn because I'm just going to read it off. It's Taysom Hill out, Cesar Ruiz out, Peyton Turner limited. He's gonna try to go. Kamara, we know he's hurt all year, but he's been going. He's gonna go. He's a warrior. Lucas Patrick, Will Harris, DNP, they're probably not gonna go. Pete Werner, not gonna go. Rashid Shaheed, he's limited. He said he was fine. He told a bunch of reporters that yesterday. Willie Gay, full practice. Kendra Miller, full practice. So if I told you we expect Shaheed to go, we expect Kamara to go, what are these one guy? What's the one guy on this list that can go, that is potential that you're like, man, if he goes, really help the cause? And I have my answer, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because if you'd have told me this in the summer, I'd have said Ralph has switched from alcohol to hard drugs. He's clearly on a substance he should not be on. I think Lucas Patrick needs to play. Is very important, Kevin. And I can't believe I'm saying that in October. I need Lucas Patrick. I need him to play. He's got an injured chest. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I think they need him for stability in the offensive line.
Yeah, man. That's why I have the hat on, because I'm going to be doing this a lot today and on Sunday.
Think and stress, and
also I have bad hat hair. I'm going to have to get a haircut later today. I'm supposed to have a date this evening.
Oh, well.
Like the obvious answers would either be Kamara or Shaheed.
Mm-hmm. But they're going to go. We think they're not real. They're saying, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to go.
Right, so, but I mean, wasn't the question which of these guys
is important? Well, that's fair. That's fair. Which of the guys is most important? Like, you can't. Like, I would agree with that. Like Shaheed, he said he was cool yesterday. He can't have a setback today, and he can't pull a hammy in the walkthrough tomorrow. Right.
Right.
So that's fair.
If you're asking me to take any of these guys on this list, I'll take Taysom.
Yeah.
I'll take Taysom. Just because of the rate of how many, the numbers came up on the big show earlier in the week, like how often the Saints score when Taysom is actually playing versus when he's not.
Yeah. And having Taysom, you could do, if Taysom could go, let's just say we get like Taysom is limited on Friday. If Taysom could go, you could have announce all the starters on offense, and you could announce Taysom second to last, and you could announce Rattler last, and you could get the dome fired up. I think Taysom playing would fire up the dome people, which will be more fired up than normal. Which is my next question, Kevin. Which is this: for a 2-3 Saints team that's lost 3 in a row, I think the vibes in the dome, at least initially, are going to be good. I think people are going to be excited about Rattler. I think they're going to be pumped up. Now, look, that can turn on a dime. It could be the opposite.
I don't think it'll turn on a dime.
You don't?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I disagree. I think the fan base is going to be very willing and forgiving of Spencer Rattler coming in and starting. He's getting at least the half. At least the first half. And I'm saying at least the half. He would have to look like absolute dog ass. And the Saints offense would have to be utterly bollocks in the first half for anybody to consider turning on Spencer Rattler.
You're talking like not cross midfield bad. Like you're talking like
I'm talking like not crossing bad. Midfield or crossing midfield, a lot of 4 and outs, or I would even say boneheaded plays where it's like he should take a sack but doesn't, or tries to, just throws it up instead of taking the sack and it ends up being picked off. Bad. I'm talking bad decision making, bad playmaking, easily rattled.
That's the thing. I think the only way they would pull him is if in the halftime or in the third quarter he looks like Ian Book in the COVID game, where you're just like, dude, he's not. The moment's too big for him, and he's been sacked 6 times, and he's been hit 5 more. We're pulling him for safe. It's like a pitcher. You got shelled, bro, and we got to get you out partially for your own good.
Right.
But it's weird, Kevin. It's a strange vibe in that Saints fans have injected our hopes and dreams in him, and he's not a top pick for the Saints because he was a later round pick. He was
fifth rounder, right?
5th rounder, sort of Randy Mueller, the new he's working with the Saints officially, but last year this past draft he was like a consultant. He was, if you listen to Randy Mueller's GM podcast on The Athletic, he was incredibly high in Rattler. Like he was like better than Bo Nix. Like Rattler is good. I don't understand why people don't think he's good. He's as good as most of these quarterbacks that are going to be picked in the top 10. I'm telling you, and I was like, wow. So, like, when they picked him, I was like, that's Randy Mueller yelling at people in the Saints draft room.
Is it some kind of bias against I'm wondering if it's some sort of team, like, drafting bias from him having, like, an issue at Oklahoma or like, having some kind of issue where he had to, like, where he just decided I'm transferring.
He had the weird issue at Oklahoma. He had that weird reality show that he was kind of on that was a long time ago. And mostly, I think, if you watch college football with Spencer Rattler, it's very hard to untangle his absolute chaos that he was in South Carolina on game day. And that Carolina's offensive line was so bad that he was in absolute chaos. He was scrambling. He took sacks at a ridiculous rate. So it's kind of hard to untangle it. Are the sacks him? Or is it the offensive line? Is it Carolina? So it was hard. I think it was really hard for teams to untangle it. And they just looked at it and was like, he's not that good. He's one of these guys that has a lot of traits, but he gets sacked all the time at South Carolina. He's not that good. And the Saints were one of those teams with Randy Mueller that's like, no, he's a product of, like, his issues are a product of South Carolina's crappy offense and offensive line. If you can put him in the right environment, he has elite physical skills and toughness and leadership, and he can thrive. And we'll see. But the interesting thing as far as Saints fans, Kevin, is I think Saints fans were treating him like he's a number 1 pick for the Saints. Like in the excitement level.
Well, right.
And I think that's different. We're not treating him like a normal 5th round pick. We're treating him like he's our quarterback future. We've been waiting our whole lives for him.
Right. Like he was either a first round pick or a second round pick.
They picked him 10th, and we just been counting down the days to when he's going to play. And so I think it's going to be a fun vibe in the Dome. I'm excited to go.
Well, right. But I think that the way this all works out is actually to his advantage. I really do. He's playing with house money. Because of the 5th round pick thing.
That's right.
Like draft wise and maybe even assessment wise, or I would assume the way that some people look at him is they would just say, well, what do you think he's going to do? He's a 5th round draft pick. He's a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever. But the talent is clearly there.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of why there's a lot of hype and happiness and joy and hopefulness around him. Yeah. Because we know he's better than a 5th round assessment. Mm-hmm. We know he's capable of playing and seemingly not shitting the bed just based off the one preseason game. But we know he can play from his college career. We know that.
Yeah,
he comes into a situation where there's not a lot of support for the quarterback. There's not a lot of support for the head coach. I mean, you can argue who's more despised or loathed or disliked, but comes right into a perfect situation. The team with all the injuries, and everything, even that's to his benefit. Because if he comes out there and looks shaky, you can still point to, hey, this guy's hurt, this guy's hurt, this guy's hurt. The offensive line has been terrible. It has been bad since X, Y, and Z got hurt. It's been shaky going back to last year. Like there are built-in reasons. I'm not going to say excuses. Mm-hmm. There are built-in reasons why, if he looks bad, you can point to other things. I'm fully willing to give this kid whatever expression you want to use, like the benefit of the doubt or more rope than usual, like whatever. Like, yeah, I'm excited, but I'm very guarded about it. I don't.
Well, I'm guarded about it too. Listen, but I will say this: your point. I think this, considering where the Saints are, and this is where we start getting into the game. Considering where they are, injury-wise, they're decimated on the offensive line, right? And that's a problem. I think if you drew up who you wanted to make your first start against for Spencer Rattler, obviously Carolina would be number one because their defense and offenses they're dreadful. They had the one little blip with Andy Dalton, but I think Tampa's a really good spot for him because their run defense and their pass defense. You don't think of Tampa this way because they have a defensive coach in Todd Bowles. Their defense is 25th in advanced analytics. Their rush defense is bottom 5. Their rush defense is bottom 5 in the league. Like their rush defense is close to Dallas and the Bengals. Oh, great. Listen, I've watched the Cardinals. Like the Saints, if they're ever going to be able to run the ball again with this beat up offensive line, I think it's going to be this week, Kevin. Because if you can't run it against the Tampas and the Arizonas of the world, even with your beat up line, this is going to be the week where is the Saints offense so injured that it's the magic cure for your bad defense, or is your bad defense the magic cure for the Saints beat up offense? I think we're going to get that answer.
All right.
Against Tampa.
Okay. So here's something that I'm seeing here. The Bucks, numbers wise, have a worse overall defense than the Panthers and a worse overall passing defense than the Panthers.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
They have allowed 12 touchdowns this year. Here's where the Panthers just are insane. They've allowed 20.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because they're not advancing the ball far enough, so it's easy. So it's, closer for teams to march down the field and score. Rushing wise, the Panthers are a worse rushing rushing defense. They've allowed 9, but I don't know, man. I think this is a pretty good chance. Again, on paper, the opponent is good.
Yeah,
in terms of Spencer Rattler.
Yeah,
this is a good opponent for Spencer Rattler.
The thing is,
that's why if he looks bad, there's a checklist of things.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, well, what was this guy doing? What was this guy doing? What was this guy doing? Again, if the Saints go out and lose, I'm not going to throw that on Spencer Rattler. Like, Spencer Rattler would have to play abysmally for me to come out and say, yeah, this one was on Spencer Rattler. I
think that's fair. The one thing getting back to Tampa a little bit is I was arguing with the smart analytics, some people on Twitter after Kirk Cousins, he lit up Tampa and threw for 500 yards, and people were like, oh, maybe that Achilles is finally coming around. I'm like, he played 4 days ago against the Saints and looked like he was 100 years old and in cement, and the Saints had him in hell for 4 quarters, even though Atlanta won the game. I'm like, Kirk Cousins ain't been cured, man. The cure was Tampa's defense is atrocious. And that gives me...
And the offensive line, and his offensive line did enough.
Right?
Guess. And, that would be my guess. If the guy's got a bum wheel, I would think it would be, well, they're protecting him.
Well, and the thing is, the Bucs will get Kalijah Cansey back, who was pretty good. He was about as good. He was a little bit better than Brian Bursey last year.
That's the Pitt guy, right?
That's the Pitt guy with the
Pitt. He was one of my draft darlings from a while back.
He was one of the draft darlings. Me and you fought over him because he has T-Rex arms, and I was like, you can't be a defensive tackle and be good if you have the T-Rex arms. But he's proven me wrong. He's really good. So you give yourself a pat on the back for that one, Kevin. But he's going to be back. So having him and Vita Vea versus the Saints interior, which by any advanced metric you want to use, the Saints offensive line, the interior is now bottom 3 of the league. But that's what happens when you're playing the fourth center. Yeah.
You're not bottom 3. I'm surprised it's not dead ass last.
I'm surprised it's
like
not
you're gonna have Connor McGovern, and I've literally been staring at his name for the last 2 minutes to make sure I'm not saying Connor McGavin. You've had Connor McGovern looking like he's gonna be the starter at center.
Yeah.
Like that's your fourth. That would be your fourth center.
It's preposterous.
That's your fourth center. What are we doing here?
And here's the thing.
What are we doing here?
I saw Bears fans saying, oh no, our corner is injured. This is the first time we might be without a defensive starter all year. I was like, what kind of life is that? I want to live that life for the Saints where no starters miss any games. But it's preposterous. And the thing is, I was arguing, somebody was like, well, if the Saints knew that Connor McGovern fit into the system with the coaching staff, and they knew he was such a good fit, why wasn't he on the roster to start with? I'm like, because they didn't think they needed a fourth freaking center, my guy. Like, yeah, they liked Connor McGovern. He was on a list.
53-man rosters. 53-man rosters. There you go. Listen, I have pounded this drum also for years. The NFL needs to expand the rosters anyway.
Yeah.
They need to expand the rosters anyway.
I compared Connor McGovern to this. I was like, just because the Saints like him, it's like me during Katrina when I ate the ready-to-eat meals. The nacho cheese in the ready-to-eat meals is pretty good. But I'm not eating it unless there's a goddamn hurricane coming along, right? Like if I'm out of power in my house and we're like in the apocalypse. Same thing with McGovern, right? You ain't using him. You don't need him unless you go down to your fourth center. Then as a fourth center, you're like, not so bad.
Right. As fourth centers go, he's not too bad.
So, all right. It's time to get to the keys to victory, Kevin, where I give the
prop bets.
The prop bets. I give the people
keys to victory. Come on, man.
I give the people a Saints keys to victory parlay where I give you 3 parlays. If you think the Saints have a shot, you bet them all. And if the Saints win, these will probably come to fruition. So, Kevin, we got to start with the passing props for Spencer Rattler.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, if you think Spencer Rattler is going to throw for 150 yards, it's minus 450. That means you got to bet 450 to win 100. But if you think the Saints are going to get blown out, but Spencer Rattler is going to play the whole game, plus over 275 yards passing is plus 950. So you could get that in garbage time. But I think if you think the Saints are going to win, I think the sweet spot for Spencer Rattler is 175 plus, but that's not a great bet because it's minus 200. Where do you think Spencer Rattler's passing yards fall?
So the over under that I'm looking at is 194.5.
Okay.
I'll take the over.
Ooh.
I will take the over. And what's funny is his passing touchdowns, the over under is, well, actually it's they've got it set up as half of a touchdown. Mm-hmm. So if you want to take the over, it's minus 270.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either minus 270 or plus 180 if you think he's going under. And it's like, do you really want to bet 270 to get back 100?
Yeah, the bet that I really like today is if you think the Saints are going to win. Because the Saints' rushing offense has fallen off a cliff, because of the injuries we just talked about, Alvin Kamara against a rushing defense, Kevin, you just explained is pretty terrible.
Yep.
80 yards plus is plus 160. 100 yards plus is plus 390. And here's the thing. Yes, the Saints' rush defense against Kansas City was really bad. Kansas City's defense is magnitudes better than Kansas City. Against Atlanta, who I would say Atlanta and Tampa Bay's defense are comparable, Saints ran the ball pretty dang well in that game. I would say Kamara plus over 80 yards or over 100 plus 390 if you think the Saints have a real shot to win this game. I think that's a decent bet because here's the thing, Kevin, like 80 yards rushing, all it takes is 140 yard, all it takes is 2 20-yard runs from Kamara and you're halfway there. So I really like the rushing prop of Kamara over 80 or 100 yards if you think the Saints are going to win. Am I crazy?
Say that part again about Kamara.
Over 80 yards plus 160. So you bet 100, you win 160. Or if he goes over 100, you bet 100, you win 390.
No, that's not bad at all. Mm-hmm. That's not bad at all because, look, the thing I'm looking at, the prop here is 67.5 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm trying to understand this. So, yeah, it's 115. Either it's minus 115 over or under. So I would take the under. I would take the over.
Yeah.
With that, and they don't have receptions on this, which is on this thing I'm looking at, which is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would take the over on. I would take the over on Spencer Rattler I would take the over on Kamara's rushing, and I'm trying to find
Receiving?
I want to find a receiver.
Because receiving today, this game is dicey. Because
I tell you what, I'll go with this.
go hit me.
I will take Foster Moreau
Ooh.
over in his receiving yards.
What's it?
Let me find that. Be nice if you guys gave me this information, fellas.
Yeah, it's interesting. Here's my thing. I like the thing is over again, Rashid Shaheed, I know he's hurt. Over 33 and a half passing yards. I think that's a great bet. I think the Saints receiving. I think the receiving yards thing with the Saints. I think the Saints are going to be. I think Spencer Rattler is going to be boom or bust, and I think his completion percentage is not going to be great, but I think he's going to hit a couple if the Saints win. Like I think you'll look at his stat line and you'll be like, 13 of 25 for $180. That's not that great. But what it'll be like 3 plays on a loop that go on Twitter and social media that are just dimes to Olave and Shaheed. So I don't think he's going to be I don't think Olave, I don't think betting the receptions over or that. I don't think that's good because I think the Saints offense is going to be, if they win, Kevin, it's going to be a decent run game and Rattler hitting.
Okay.
Shot plays.
So I can't find. So I was basing that off of a stat that I read, the Moreau yardage thing. I can't find a prop bet for yardage. However, I can find prop bets for touchdown receptions.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. Let's do it before we get out of here.
And there's only 3. There's, I'm not going to name them. If you want to find them, you can Google Foster Moreau prop bets. If these guys want me to name them, they can pay us money to name them.
Sponsor. That's right.
So 2 of them, all 3 of them, the over-under is 0.5. So you have to bet that he's going to get 1. 2 of them are plus 550. One of them is offering plus 750.
Ooh, see, that's dicey.
That he'll catch, that that you could get 1. So if you bet Foster Moreau getting 1, if I'm understanding how this betting thing works, if you put up 1 unit, you would get either 5.5 units at 2 of these places or 7.5 units at this other place.
Yeah.
If he catches 1 touchdown. He's caught 3 of them this year.
Here's my final bet that I'm going to give you. If you want to just be all in and if you got some disposable income and you want to be all in on the Spencer Rattler hype and you want to go to the dome and you want to be with the crowd and you want to have fun, you want to hop on the Spencer Rattler bandwagon and you want to sit in first class and you want to hope for the best and have a little money on it too, I'm going to give you 2, Kevin.
Okay.
First TD scorer, Spencer Rattler plus 1,600.
First score,
first score, Spencer Rattler. First.
So that means that would include a pass.
Well, no, yeah, no. He's
got a rush.
He's got to run it in.
Okay.
So TD score. So here's a crazy one. Spencer Rattler, 2 rushing touchdowns plus 2,800. Here's the case.
Goddamn, 2,800.
Yeah. So if you
wait, he's got to get 2 rushing touchdowns.
2 rushing touchdowns. It's a lot. But here's the thing. I feel like if the Saints get in the red zone, like Spencer Rattler running around making it happen, like it's not far-fetched. So that's why
listen. What is the... Is there a prop bet that he'll score that he will be responsible for 3 touchdowns?
It's 2+ touchdowns. So they don't. That's the only.
So that he would be responsible for 2+ touchdowns.
Yeah, no, this rush got to be rushing.
It's got to be rush. Yeah. I'm thinking if you could merge passing touchdowns and rushing,
but you can do passing, but the passing props aren't as fun. Although
fun. Listen, I'm trying
to do plus 1,000 for 3 passing touchdowns if you're so inclined.
Man, three. See, I can't see him throwing for 3. I think his best I think the best hope is that he throws for 2, runs for 1, and plays a very nice and tidy, 230 yards. Gets sacked once.
I'll just say this:
a couple of hurries.
If Spencer Rattler throws for 3 touchdowns and the Saints win, Derek Carr, put your house up for sale because it's over. And I'm not saying that's fair. I'm not saying that's correct.
You're saying this after one game.
I'm saying after one game.
You and I talking earlier this week. Weren't you and I talking about how let's see what's going on after the 3rd game or however many games?
I'm just saying. Like
weren't you saying if he goes 2-1 and he looks good, he looks good to decent in all 3 of those games, that Derek Carr should be worried? And now you're saying if he throws 3 touchdowns in one game, Derek Carr's got to pull his kids out of school.
I'm just saying, man. I'm not saying it's right.
You got to get out of the PTA.
I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just telling you what's what. The fan base
telling you what's what.
The fan base wants to be done with Derek Carr. And now
I get it.
There's a path to it. It's here. Whether you were a supporter of Derek Carr, whether you hated Derek Carr, it doesn't matter. The new world of Spencer Rattler is here. If he does well Sunday, man, it's the fan base done. Because the thing is, if he does really well and then really poorly and then just okay, people are gonna say, I know what Derek Carr is. I've seen him for a decade. Spencer Rattler's new and fresh and cool. I want to see what he's about. I want him to keep playing because I don't know the future with Spencer Rattler. I know what it's going to be with Derek Carr. And whether that's fair or not, that's going to be the argument. And good luck to you, Dennis Allen, trying to navigate those waters. But that's a good place. That's a good problem. A quarterback controversy when the backup comes in and you start winning games and you don't know if you should stick with him or go back to the old guy. That is the best problem to have, and that's why they pay Dennis Allen $8 million a year. It's
also a decent problem to have when your offensive line is teetering on being the drizzling shits.
It is. And listen, it's a great problem to have. It's much better problem to have that than Spencer Rattler starts Sunday, starts Thursday, and we're just like, oh my God, when does Derek
and gets his doors blown off? I don't want to see. Here's the thing: I don't want to see the kid go out there and get mauled for 2 games. My expectations are, again, I'm personally excited, but my expectations are fairly low because of all the injuries and because of what the offensive line is.
I think, Kevin, and we'll end on this. Well, as we preview, I think the best case scenario for Spencer Rattler, Tampa defense is bad. Okay. Denver's defense is the best defense in football, and they play them Thursday. I think the best case scenario for Spencer Rattler, Saints win. He plays nice and tidy, like you say. $180, maybe 200 yards, run for a touchdown, throw for a touchdown. Saints offense looks pretty good. And we are super pumped about Rattler. Thursday comes against a big boy elite defense, and then the trouble starts. But I want to, before we get out of here too, I want to talk about Tampa. Because Tampa, their defense is bad, but their offense, I feel like Baker, I know a lot of people are starting to believe in him, Kevin. I don't really believe in Baker. I still think like Baker Mayfield, he's just as likely to light the Saints up and look pretty good as he is to throw 2 picks and have a fumble. Where are you on your fear, loathing of Baker Mayfield?
I mean, I don't loathe the guy. I don't fear the guy. But he's like, he is actually, I would say he's better than, I almost said he's a rich man's Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he's better than that. Yeah. Like he's thrown 11 touchdowns, 2 picks so far this year. That's a really good line. He's thrown over 1,100 yards. Like he's making the most of everything. Like this is he right now what is that? Like he is an above whatever the median is, he is above that.
Yeah.
So that he falls right into my, if you have a good team around him, he's good enough to make things happen and can keep you competitive and can potentially win you some games. And he can also cost you some games.
The one thing I'll say about Baker Mayfield that is clearly apparent. The problems weren't with him. The problems with the goddamn Browns. Like,
right.
You can say whatever you want about like his issues were not his issues. The Browns are a dysfunctional joke of a franchise, and they ruin any quarterback they touch. And when he got away from there, I wouldn't have picked him number 1, but he's, could be as high as 10, could be as low as 22 in the quarterback ranking. Final, I can't believe we didn't get this till now. And then we'll get out of here, Kevin.
Okay.
We get Lattimore, Mike Evans. We haven't had it in a while because Lattimore's been hurt.
Is Lattimore? Look, the thing I'm seeing says he's still questionable. Is he good?
No, Lattimore's fine. He's going.
Okay. All right. Never mind. Yeah. Okay.
So we get Lattimore, Mike Evans. Do you think we'll get some juicy fireworks from it? Because we've got
what's
them in
the prop bet? So here we go. 57 and a half. 57 and a half is the over-under on Mike Evans.
Under. Take the under, baby.
Okay.
Lattimore hates him, and he hates Lattimore. And Lattimore, here's the thing with Lattimore. He'll give up some throws to like broken down Adam Thielen and receivers that you don't know their names. When it's time to play versus the elite receivers, when Lattimore is healthy, he is locked in. He's going to be locked in against Mike Evans. Going to be locked in. I'd take the under. Godwin might cook the Saints, but Evans, no. If they had a bet I could make on a fight, if Kevin, dream scenario, Spencer Rattler, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, Alvin Kamara runs for 100. Saints are blowing the doors off the Bucs, and we get Lattimore, Mike Evans fight. Evans gets thrown out. Just throwing it out there, putting it out there in the atmosphere. That would be my dream scenario. And football fights really excite my kid. So I would be pumped if they had a giant melee in the dome Sunday, because my son, he gets really excited about football fights because helmets get thrown and it excites him.
Your son wants blood.
He wants the blood. But I'll say this.
He gets that from his mother.
Yeah. I'll say this about my kid. He did the whole, by the way, I have a giant project due tomorrow on Argentina. He dropped that on us last night at 7:00. So he did that. The classic 8-year-old kid.
How old is he? He's only 8 and he's doing that?
Yeah, he's like, I got a project.
Man, I wasn't doing that till I was like 12.
He's like, I got a project that's like a third of my grade. And when's it due? It's on Argentina. Oh, it's due tomorrow? Are you kidding me, kid? So last night, from 7 to 11:30, I'm building paper mache and looking up facts about Argentina.
Yeah, I had to do one of those in 2nd or 3rd grade about Chile.
Yeah, the
And to do
tango.
the paper mache, like the little, you get it on a piece of cardboard. You put it, they put the map down there, and it's like a topographical thing.
Yeah.
And really, all it was you just, you try and make Chile was easy because it was just like a big long line of like mountains.
Yeah. My wife was not happy. There was a lot of angry Spanish people.
I think my sister helped me with that.
Terrible. But guys, as we started the show on Thomas, can you give us a good Polish insult before we get out of here?
Damn, you really want me to insult
I want you to give us a
Good?
good Polish insult before we get out of here.
Ty skurwysynu.
See, so we started with Poland, how they have a buffet of way to insult people where English, you only have like 6 words. And we ended with
Kevin's Googling.
And we ended with paper mache projects of Argentina. But guys,
what?
I mean, it was 2 words. It was like you and then the insult. Skurwysynu.
Man, see, everybody, look, that's the other thing. See, this is why Americans get so angry with Europeans. It's just rapid fire, like it's just like it's like a strafing machine gun here of just all these words, and it's all like bunched together. Like, like the English language, look, I give everybody the English language. It's like, look, we've got like idioms, we've got problems with there, and there, and two, and two, and I get all that, but just this whole, it's just right on top of each other. It's trying to read a book where all the typeset is just, it's instead of a full page, the page is smushed down and you're trying to read the lines like this and you can't see them all.
All these communist swine should learn English.
Look, I'm not going that far, okay? I'm not I'm not going that far. I'm not subscribing. Well, no, I'm not even going to name one of those places because God only knows some algorithm will tell them, oh, this guy mentioned your name on his podcast. Then I'm going to get hate mail.
Kevin, are you going to stick
10,000 dipshits?
Now that we know Spencer Rattler is starting, are you going to change your pick?
I'm still sticking with the Saints.
Yeah, you picked the Saints.
I'm still sticking with the Saints.
I said 23-3.
You did?
I think I'm changing my pick. I think this game is going to be a lot I think the Saints I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think the Saints are going to ugly it up. They're going to play a lot better on defense than they did against Kansas City. I still think screw it. I'm going Rattler Mania. 24-20 Saints, Rattler to Shaheed. 5 seconds left. Saints win.
All right.
You might as well cancel work on Monday if that's the case.
Dude,
like if that happens, nobody's working on Monday.
No, dude.
Nobody's working on Monday.
Saints Twitter will be. I think Saints Twitter, because Twitter really wasn't a thing in 2009, even though it existed. I think if Spencer Rattler balls out and they win, Saints Twitter will be the happiest it's ever been. It's my opinion. So, thanks to everybody for watching this, guys. Make sure you give us a like and leave a comment on the algorithm on YouTube. It's a great way supporting the show for free. And if you liked what you saw, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Saints Happy Hour. It's amazing. Support the show. Thanks to Kevin. Thanks to Thomas running the show back in Poland, even though he insulted me in a language I don't understand. We will see you after Saints Bucks on Sunday.